All right, in the tackle box, it's that time of year, time to do some maintenance on the Mercury. We got a Mercury 150 2022 four-stroke. This is the third year I am owning it. So they say there is a 300-hour or 3-year maintenance, which is an upgraded from just the oil change and the gear lube. So we purchased that. We are going to do that. I'll show you here in a second. But ultimately, I only have 183 hours on the engine. So we're under the 300, but we are at the 3 years. So there's going to be a belt that we need to replace, some anodes. Let's see what else is in this. Well, I'll show you guys right here. So those are the things we're changing. Oil filter, low pressure fuel filter, high pressure fuel filter, gear case drain seals. That's normal. That's every year you got to do that. 4 spark plugs. This will be new spark plugs for this. 1 thermostat, 1 belt, 4 anodes, 2 clamps. Not sure what the clamps are. And then 1 impeller kit. I will tell you right up front, I am not changing the impeller. That requires the whole lower unit to be removed. I am handy. I need to research more before I do that. So that will not be in this video. I also just had the boat into the shop this summer, as you know, and I believe the impeller was changed. So I'm not messing with the lower unit. All the other things we're going to do in this video here. Probably take a couple days maybe, but we're going to get started. So, where do we start? Let's see. I guess the very first thing to do is take the cowling off. Maybe. Because I already know, let's see here. I've got my tools from the last few years. If you guys normally take this to the shop, I know you're spending upwards $400 or $500 just for an oil change. All of these parts, the oil, the gear lube, the 300-hour maintenance kit was about $250. The labor is what's going to cost you. So if you're handy, you can do it yourself. There's nothing crazy hard about any of this. Oil filter wrench, gear lube. This is one thing we're not doing. Fogging oil. If it were going to sit, we would use this to fog the cylinders after. We're not going to do that. Also, this, we're not going to do this, at least not right now, because we're still fishing, ultimately. So we won't need those two. You're going to need drain pans for gear lube and for oil. Step one. So this is really handy. Maintenance schedule tells you engine oil and filter every year, gear case lubricant every year, inspect your spark plugs, your thermostat, low pressure fuel filter anodes, impeller, spark plugs, and drive belt. All the things in the kit. So our spark plugs are here. We're going to start with draining our oil. So we're going to start with our oil. Let's see, what order should we do this in? The only two things that I've done on this boat myself are the oil and the gear lube. I've never changed the thermostat or any of that, so you're going to follow along with me for the first time. So the first thing I'm doing, I'm not going to take the camera, I'm not going to move it, but there's a valve that this hose goes onto to drain your oil. You need a 5/8 wrench. You're just going to loosen that valve so that until the oil starts coming out. All right, while that's doing that, I really should move this camera. All right, we're going to move the camera. I don't know how much you're going to be able to see over there, but we'll move the camera so you can see something about what's going on anyway. So here's the silver drain plug. The oil's draining. Here's the oil filter. See if I can get you some light. There we go. Okay, so now you can see better. This mop bucket is filling with oil right now. This is the little silver 5/8 wrench you need to loosen it. This is our oil filter, which we need an oil filter wrench to remove. And there's a little drip pan under here. Once we get this off, and there's our oil filter. I am going to just set it there for now. All right, and we're going to let that drip dry for a while. You can still hear it flowing. Okay, to the other side. While we are waiting, basically we're gonna let that oil drip and drip and drip for a minute, because why not? Let's make sure you can see. So our spark plugs, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 4-cylinder. I always start with the hardest one, which is the bottom one. What I've got to do with this is put my 5/8 spark plug socket on there. First I disconnected the wire, and I'm going to put the socket on there. It will kind of get a seal where it can just sit there. Once you got it sit there, then you take your wrench, and I can't remember. Yeah, I need a little adapter. I haven't bought the knuckle adapter yet, but it would really save me probably a lot of headache if I would do that. But I know I can do it because I've done it for the last 2 years without that. So we're gonna do it again this year. You kind of got to set it in pieces. So first the wrench went on, or first the socket itself went on, then the adapter, and now the wrench. My suggestion is get the right size knuckle adapter for it. But once you've got it loose, then it's easier. So after you get it loose, you can do it with your fingers, which makes life easier. Okay, there's our spark plug. So that doesn't look that bad, but we're definitely going to replace them as the book calls for. ZFR5F NGKR, that's what's in there. That's what's in there from the factory. And you'll see ZFR5F NGK. It's the same plug. So these are already properly gapped, and there's a little protective layer on there in the box, so all we got to do is put it on there. So it's going to go in there and then reverse the process. Making sure that we don't cross thread anything. Making sure that we don't drop the spark plug. There is a foot-pounds of torque that you're supposed to use for tightening these down. So I suggest doing that. Get yourself a torque wrench if you're going to do it every year, and tighten them to specs. Act of Congress every time. So 4 is done, and we're going to make sure we put the spark plug wire back on there, and then the rest you'll be able to see. They're much easier. It's not a very hard process. That one's a pain. You should hear a click, which I just heard. So you should hear a click when you push that spark plug wire on. So we're going to go backwards. Now we're going to go on to 3. Much simpler when you can reach it. Engineers love to make things as difficult as possible. I don't know why. Click, click, click. Hopefully click. Okay, so spark plugs are done. Oil's drained. We got to do the gear lube. We've got to do the thermostat. We've got anodes to replace. Let's see, what's next? We'll go back over to the other side. Here's the oil filter. And you'll see there's a saran wrap or like a plastic on that. We're going to take that off. We're going to take a little bit of our new oil and we're going to put our oil filter back on. We're using Quicksilver Synthetic 10W30. And I need to get a funnel. Actually, I don't know if that's what we're going to do next or not. We're not going to do that next. That's going to be one of the last things we do. Next thing we're going to do is our belt. Okay. I know that light is bright. Holy cow. Okay. So there's 3 bolts that hold this plastic cover on. The belt is up here. So we got to take those bolts out. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing or not, but hopefully you get the idea. Okay, that's what she looks like. Without that on there. And here's our belt. I don't know, can you see that? This is our belt right here. So, this is our alternator. So there's a bolt here on top and a bolt here on bottom. We have to release the alternator to pull this off. So to do that, we're going to loosen this bolt down here, just loosen a couple, and then this one we're going to take out completely. So hold that thought. There we go. So we're just going to loosen that a couple turns. And then this one has to completely come off. And you'll see there's a little bit of thread locker on there, Loctite thread locker. We're going to put that back on there when we're done. Push that out. And voila. Off goes that belt. This is the new belt. There's really not much for wear on that, but $300 maintenance calls for it, so we're doing it. I'm throwing all this other stuff away. Important thing here is to make sure that everything is in the grooves. Nothing sitting weird. And then we're going to push this back. Maybe. Maybe we're going to push this back. It's got to go back, so there we go. And then that's snug. Double check that nothing's out of whack. It sits in there. Pretty easy to tell if something's not right. So that's good. Put a little bit of thread lock on that bolt again. And get that back to where it needs to be. Good. And then tighten up this one. Don't forget this part. Good. New belt. So we got new belt, new plugs. Working on the oil. So moving on from there, we have got the anodes to replace, and also fuel filter, oil filter, and oil. So that's what's left, and then the gear lube. So I see two anodes here, and I think there's one on the bottom. But there's one giant one. I'm not sure where that is. So I'm going to have to look that up. Interesting enough, I don't have enough oil. So this is definitely going to be a 2-day project. I'm, what am I? 3/10? No, more than that. I got 5.6 liters and I need 6 liters. So I'm almost a half a liter short on oil, which is really kind of weird. I don't know how that happened. I didn't buy the oil change kit this time because all the other stuff came in the 300-hour service kit. So that's probably why. So make sure you've got enough oil. It's right here on the sticker how much you need. All right, so that is an anode. That's the part number for that one. But there's 4 of them in total. Oh, you can't see that side. 4 of them in total. These 2, this one, and then that great big one. There's also the hose clamps I need are in here that I ordered that part for. So we're gonna move the camera again to show you where all these are. So you got one here, one on the other side of the same thing, one here, and then one, that great big one is here. So we're gonna start with, apparently, the one underneath. You have to pull this thing out, and yeah, so there's a little rubber gasket there, and then there's a bolt in there. That's the wrong way. No, that's the wrong way. There we go. Okay. So, as you can see, there's a little bit of corrosion on there. That's what this is supposed to do. Is all 4 of these are supposed to collect the corrosion, basically, so that it doesn't mess with the engine, rust things and all that. So it's doing what it's supposed to. We're going to get a new one on there, and they gave me a new bolt in there, so we're going to use that as well. So pretty self-explanatory. It's just a bolt. There is some thread lock on there with the bolt that they gave us, so that's what we're going with. And there we go. Put our little rubber gasket back on there. Cool. And then we'll take off these side ones. So one bolt goes through both of those. So you're going to need 2 10 millimeters. I don't believe they gave me a new bolt for this, so I'm gonna try to be careful not to knock it into the oil. There is a washer on the back side of both of those, so be aware of that. But again, we're not in salt water. If this was salt water the last 2 years, it'd be a lot worse. But you can tell they're wearing. That's an old one. That's the new one. So, get rid of the old. Out with the old, in with the new. Leave the washers back there. I'm going to make sure that they didn't give me a new bolt for that somewhere else. They did not give me a bolt for that one. The other two, they did. Weird. That's all right. I don't think the bolt's bad. We're going to use the same bolt. If I did think there was a problem with it, I would get a new one from the hardware store, but I think we're fine. Again, we're not in salt water. We're just making things shiny again. There we go. Brand new. New and new. Exciting stuff. Throwing the old ones away. And now we're going to have to get down here and see. These got little a little cable attached to them and a washer. So be mindful of that. A cable on each bolt here. Once again, pretty beat up compared to the new one. And new stainless steel hardware. There is a upside down and a backwards to this, so make sure that you take it off or you put it on the way that you took it off, if that makes sense. Take a picture if you've got to. All right. Anodes are done. Okay, because we do not have the clamp pliers for the thermostat or enough oil, we're just going to keep doing what we can do. So we're going to take the plastic off our oil filter. There's a rubber gasket here. We're going to take just a fingerful of oil, preferably the new oil, but I'm not going to open one, so we're just going to take a little bit of oil, and that is just to lubricate that seal, just like you would on a car. Put that on here. Again, I'm not cross-threading anything. We're going to hand tighten to about there. You don't want to over tighten that. Makes it impossible to get off. So, that's that. We can basically tighten this back up. This is done draining. It's been a good, I don't know, couple hours now. And we don't need that anymore. I forget what size that one is. 9/16 maybe? 5/8? 5/8 maybe? Let's see. 5/8. Same as my spark plug. So we're going to tighten that up. That's that. So, oil's done. Well, oil's emptied. So now, this is the old oil filter. Now, we're going to do the gear lube, which that's our gear lube. This is last year's. This is the little pump you need to pump it in. So let me see if I can remember. There's two places we got to open up for this. One of them's here, and one of them is behind the prop. So you're going to need to put your spark plug wrench away. So you're done with that now. I believe, yeah, this is a Mercury 24. I need an 1/16 socket and a chunk of wood. Two by 4 block works great, and I can't see. Hold on. Hold that thought. I've got lights everywhere. I don't know why I can't see. I believe there's a little clip on there. Yes. So there's a little clip bracket on there that you have to bend straight. And you can do that simply enough with just a flathead screwdriver. There's your nut. And then everything else comes out just like that. On the bottom here is a bolt with a yellow washer gasket behind it. There's your yellow gasket and your bolt. You're going to want to replace that gasket. So this right here gets loosened. There's a rubber gasket behind that. And as soon as you loosen this, it should start coming out. There she comes. Ah. So we're going to trim this all the way down, let that drain for a minute. Okay, as you can see, I screwed up. So this morning I disconnected the boat, left it like it was, disconnected the boat. My safety chain caught on the hitch, jerked the boat forward about, I don't know, 3 inches, and this is what we're left with. So we got a mess to clean up before we even get back into our project. This is what I bought. Dry sweep. Hopefully does the trick. All right, while that's absorbing, I don't know if it needs to sit or not. We're going to continue on. We did get our pliers. Here's our new pliers for that special R-type hose clamp. These are the new seals. We need our pump and our gear lube, which I don't think I've got enough. That's why I got a new one. So this goes on here, and this gets screwed into here. I'm going to say this might not even be the right one because I helped Brandon with his, but it is the right one. We're going to tighten this on. Just finger tight. And then we're going to pump. Which I should have put my tube on. Because right now it's not picking up anything. Put the tube on. Now we're going to pump. And we're going to pump until we see blue start coming out of the top there. Bluish green. There we go. That is what we were looking for. I probably went one too many because I wasn't paying attention. But then we're gonna put that one in. Tighten that up. Grab a rig. Clean up our mess. And I like to give it another pump. Ultimately, now we want to keep what's in there. So we're going to unscrew this, but we're going to have this handy at the ready. All right. So there's that. Gear lube is changed. All right. Let's see. We can put this prop back on. This is just a marine grade grease to put on these splines. So we need a new hub. Need a new hub. Okay. All right. So just got off the phone with Mercury. I had ordered a new hub, and he says that I can use this one. So we're going to. What the hub is this is a drive sleeve, and ultimately what it does is it sits on here on the prop on the splines, and well, this is the splines. The splines sit on those splines. When it turns, that's aluminum or steel or something. Ultimately, this is plastic. So if I hit something and the prop stops turning, it grinds this plastic up. Which, everything was still operational on this, but if you look in there, you can see I had hit a stump barely, and it kind of started to mess things up in there. So I've got plastic shavings, so I wanted to replace this, which I knew all that last night when I took the prop off. I didn't know prior to that, but I'm kind of happy because apparently this hub will work. So the way this goes in there is this goes down. I assume it only goes one way. Yeah. So this is going to go down like so. We're going to take a chunk of wood, place it underneath this so that there's a little give in there, and we're going to tap this in. Till that's flush. I don't want to hit it too hard. We're getting close. Alright. That is pretty much flush. There we go. Now we're good. Okay, so once that's in there, now they gave me a new thrust washer, so we're going to use the new one. Brand new, shiny. Put that on there. And then we'll put this on here. Easy peasy. And then this. Actually, I'll put that on there first. And then see if we can put this on there. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Then there is a Well, I'll show you the other one because I got that one on already. There's a, they gave me a new one of these. It's got two little notches. Those notches fit on that hub so that they don't turn. And then you take these two little levers and we're gonna pry them up so that it doesn't turn. But that's after this is on there. Okay, so we need our chunk of wood again. And our 1/16". There we go, we're on. And now we're going to I'm not sure how we're gonna do that, but we're gonna take and pry these up. Like that. And like that. And we're going to take our channel locks. And pinch them closed the rest of the way. Beautiful. And that ain't going nowhere. All right. Well, that makes me happy. I was in the thought that I might need a whole new prop, which I still might get a second prop, but there's actually a place close. This one will work, but there's some dings and some dents in there. A new prop is like $1,000, which is absolutely ridiculous to me. But there's a place that'll repair this for a couple $100 at most, and basically bring it back to new. So that's what I'm going to do when we're done using the boat. But for now, we're in business. Props on. Gear lubes changed. Anodes changed. Spark plugs changed. Belt. Drive belt changed. So, we've got the thermostat and some fuel filters and the oil. So, next step is going to be the thermostat. I know that light's in a bad spot for you, but a good spot for me. So, sorry about the lighting. So there's a little, I'm going to show you what this clamp looks like that I needed the special pliers for. This is the new one. See how it's a hose clamp, but it's got like a special deal there. So we'll see how that goes. But to get this one off is also concerning to me. Okay, that was not that difficult. I was a little worried about that. So there's 2 bolts for the thermostat here. There's nothing behind this. There's no water, oil, gas, nothing crazy behind this. It's just the water comes through here to cool your engine. So don't be afraid of what's behind here. Just don't lose your bolts. There we go. There we go. Get it moving. Yoy, yoy, yoy. All right. Wipe down any crud in there. Just because we're not in here very often. Once every 3 years to be exact. And then we're gonna put hose clamp on. Shove this on. And then line this up. Put some thread locker on these. Mercury asks you to do that with all of these bolts like this. So that's what we're gonna do. That's what they did when they sent it to me. It's worked great so far for the most part. So we're gonna do that. That one started. And tightened. And tightened. Snug. Snug. Now we're going to turn it a little bit, tighten her down, turn it a little bit, tighten her down. And we should be good to go. Now this goofy hose clamp. So we'll see how this goes here. But ultimately, oh yeah, that ain't going nowhere. Okay. Solid. Yeah, that ain't going nowhere probably ever. Till the next time. Alright. So that's the thermostat. Now we're done up top. so we can reattach this guy. Snug, snug, snug. All right. That is that. Okay, on to the fuel filter. We need some light because I can't really see anything there. Okay, so this is our fuel filter. There's a little yellow bracket here. You pull it out and then pull it up. Maybe. What are we caught on? Right there. So this part is kind of tricky because there is, you're not going to see this all that great. The biggest thing about this fuel filter thing is this bottom hose will fall down into where the fuel filter sits, and you won't be able to get it out. So that's the top one. That one's not a big deal. That's the actual holder, and there is apparently a spot where this will sit. Yeah, right here. There's a little spot where you can sit that, which I can barely see it. So I'm going to try and do all this at one time. I'm going to take the fuel filter out. There was fuel in there. I should have said that. Make sure the arrow's going the right way. Put that back in. You heard it clip. Ultimately, that part makes me nervous, is that if I drop that hose, as you've seen me do boneheaded things here, if I drop that hose, I'm not getting it back, and that's rough. So that's back. That's back. I'm going to put this back down. Where is our... This one we can reach, so it's not as big of a deal. And now that the fuel filter's on, it's only going to fall down as far as it is supposed to go anyway. So also not as big of a deal. Put that back on. I got to get my ladder here. No leverage where I'm at. And listen for it. Let's hold that up. Put this on. There we go. And then we're going to push that back down. And that's it. That's it to the fuel filter. Last thing. And we're done for the year. All right. Six liters of oil, which I currently do not have the full 6 liters. I'll have it by tomorrow morning. I'm going to have 5. What did I figure out? I need to put in, I'm going to be about 10 ounces short. 10.2 to be exact. Ounces short of the full 6 liters. And as I'm doing this, we'll wrap it up. It's an expensive engine. It's a crazy expensive engine. I am generally somebody that would rather pay to make sure that something is done correct. But as you can see, None of this was overly complicated. Couple bolts, couple nuts. The hardest thing was probably, heck, none of it was hard. A couple bolts in each thing. So I highly suggest, if you're halfway equipped with some kind of mechanical skills, you can absolutely do this, and I suggest that you do. The dealerships are charging astronomical amounts to basically keep you on the water and keep you going. Again, like with the wiring and all that with the boat, I know, I mean, these are minor things. There was some, if it gets into electrical and stuff like that, of course you're going to have to take it into the dealership. But to replace a thermostat, that didn't take much. That was the first time I did it. The hardest part was that weird clamp. Came off really easy. Had to buy the special pliers, but ultimately you guys can do this yourself. So that's my suggestion to you. Try it, at least for the oil changes. Maybe not the 300 hour service, but you can absolutely do the oil change yourself. If you've ever changed oil on a car, it's the same thing, probably even simpler. Mercury has made this really very user friendly as far as to work on. The anodes, I'm glad those are replaced. I noticed that those were starting to get a little worn. New fuel filter, new oil filter, new oil, new gear lube, new prop hub. So yeah, it should run like a top. New belt, new thermostat. We're gonna be in business. So thanks for watching. Check us out next time. Like, subscribe, share, as always. We appreciate you, and yeah, we'll see you next time.